Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday to everyone. If you're at home, I'm glad for you. I am, but I actually work later. So if you are at work listening in, thank you for listening in. If you can get in the chat, I appreciate you. I thank everyone that stops into Sandra P's Gen Extra. I have seen a lot of opinionators stop in and subscribe. I appreciate all of you so much. So I'm excited about the growth of my channel, about the shows that I'm reviewing, and talking to you in the chat and also Team Replay. I thank all of you so much. And today is going to be our King's Court Live review. That beautiful man you see behind me is Tyson. I minimize the Kings because I'm kind of over Thaddius. And Carlos, as you know, if you've watched from the beginning, I never really saw it for Carlos Boozer. I think that nice guy act is kind of a fake. I don't believe it. And I'm testing this mic, so excuse me if it's echoey or anything like that. I'll put up comments and I'll read them as I can. I may show them on stage if they start to come a little steadier. But this was a really good episode, everybody. It was chock full of stuff. Last week, the Kings were able to bring in friends and family to meet the Queens. This week, it's the Queens' turn. So they're taking a page from Ready to Love, which is also on OWN. And they have the Kings bring in family and friends to meet the Queens. And then a little tea I spilled last week about Sarah's secret musician boyfriend. We find out who he is. I told you all last week. We'll mention it again. And then I'll talk a little more about that, which is why I have trigger warning on there. Thank you so much for stopping in, Mama Bees. Mama Bees is a moderator. She's a subscriber to the channel. She's one of the A1 day ones, and I appreciate her so much. So this is chock full episode, and it's really good. And it features Tyson. And I don't have any qualms about ever having his face behind me. He's so lovely, even though his personality he's something else. I get a kick out of him, but a lot of people are annoyed by a lot of the things that he's doing. But every week, I don't really have a problem with it because I don't think he came on there selling these ladies any type dream. I think they know what it is. But anyway, let me start just from the beginning. Okay, this week, we start out again with Dr. K, Dr. Kehlani, and Thaddius. We remember Dr. Kehlani was furious about being brought into the elimination. They're sitting down together in a couch. Now, usually after the eliminations, Carlos retires to his play wife, Janae. They Netflix and chill. They're lovey-dovey. Tyson, usually with Felicia or any other lady who's willing to spend time. And Thaddius with whomever is his choice, usually Ariel, but he's sitting down with Dr. Kehlani. They're side by side on the couch. And I just had to take notes on what she said. She expresses, I'm pissed. You can't tell me to give myself and then say, no, not that way. How am I supposed to move? I understand it's a process, but I'm effed up in my head because of this. Y'all remember we noticed that Dr. Kehlani had kind of changed the way she was moving and communicating when she found out she was in elimination, went to a confessional and said, what the F is this? So we got a new Dr. Kehlani. And then last week, she had already pre-warned us that you're going to see a different side of me. And I already started seeing a different side. So Dr. Kehlani's not playing. Titus has his arms crossed. Now, you know, I have always said that Titus or Thaddius is such an emotionally mature person. And I love the way he listens. I'm starting to see a little something different in it, everybody. I think some of that is he knows the tools. I think he's had intense therapy, but he uses the tools for his own benefit. For instance, when she was talking and he had his arms folded and he was very quiet. Of course, someone as big as him, he's not a yeller or anything like that. He's just sitting, he's listening. I can tell by the expression on his face, he's not happy with what Dr. Kehlani is telling him. And then he does that thing where he says, I want you to be heard and say everything that you want to say and get it all out. And then I'm going to speak uninterrupted. So he does that little power play that he does. He used that on Dr. Shawana, and I complimented him for it at the time, but I'm seeing a little something different. So she Dr. K is kind of going off on him. She finishes what he's saying. And then he says, are you finished? She's finished. And then he says, I want to make sure you're done so I don't interrupt you. She said that she is finished. So he starts, I want to make sure I don't cut you off. He starts. Oh, the other thing she said, this is what set it off. She said, and I've learned through this process that watching Carlos, if a man knows what he wants, then he moves and his action shows in that way. That's when I saw a kind of change in Thaddius's face. He didn't like it. He made sure she was finished. And then he said, in regards to comparing me to Carlos, the situation with him is he made a decision based on what he wanted, and she started to interrupt him. And then he says, Dr. K said, that's what I said. And he said, well, I was giving you the chance to finish. I'd like to finish uninterrupted. I want the liberty to have uninterrupted time like I gave you. So he says, clearly you think the direction of the conversation is not going the way you want it to go. And if you can't hear me out, I'm going to let you process what we've said to each other now, what you've said to me now, and I'll circle back. It could be tomorrow. It could be the next day. I don't know. So he was able to shoot Dr. Kehlani down without really showing us that he is shooting her down. But that is what he did, y'all. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a different side of Thaddius to me, but that's what he did. She gets in a confessional and she says, I'm left hanging. I'm concerned with his ability to effectively communicate. I might have to be humble and just recognize that he might not be in the place that I'm in. So that's what she says. We get confessional Thaddius telling us that when everything he says triggers a person, he's going to shut down and then give them time to effectively communicate their feelings and thoughts. He wants the same from his partner. So then we have another scene. We have Titus walks up on Edelweiss and Sara. They're talking. He asks, what are you guys talking about? He comes out there in the backyard. So they say they're talking about connections. Edelweiss says, I feel like you're running away from me. Tyson was like, well, you have connections, right? He asked Edelweiss this. I think she is his closest connection, but he doesn't realize it because Tyson is giving everybody a chance in the house. So they're all connections. Felicia's wrapped around him at the end of the night when she's straddling him and stuff, but they're pretty much, they all think they got a shot. So Edelweiss says, I feel like you're running away from me. She's a Spanish lady, so she has her accent. She lives in Miami. And he starts matching her accent saying, I want to run to you. Sara's sitting there mad, y'all. And Sara had a big episode this week, too, because I called Miss Prim and Proper out last week. The Prim Proper Persian, because she got in a confessional and talked about how Persians make such great wives and all this kind of stuff. We found out she was on Shahs of Sunset. And then I disclosed to the people that were here with me at Sandra P's Gen Extra that this secret boyfriend she was trying not to tell us about was R. Kelly. The episode disclosed it as well at the end. Since I told y'all last week, it's not really a spoiler because we knew this. And she dated a man 3 years, 10 years ago. We're going to watch some sneaky stuff she does later in relation to that. So Tyson is saying, I wouldn't mind. I'd like to date you, Edelweiss, if it's okay with her, because he and Sara are known to have kind of a close connection. Also Felicia, which Sara tried to tell Tyson on Felicia about something the other week, and Felicia just verbally ate her up, and Sara has kept her distance ever since, which I love. So Sara's saying, well, I don't care. Tyson's saying, well, if it's a problem, just say so. If it bothers you, Sara refuses to say whether or not it bothered her. She claims it doesn't bother her. So he asks Edelweiss, okay, can I have a date? We'll have a date. And then Sara's like, dang. But she said it didn't bother her. So she's one of those. She wants him to not reach out to any other women, not explore other connections, and just be dedicated to her, kind of like Carlos is with Janae. Carlos has been an example to the other women that they can be also selected and kind of basically you're going to the end with that person or however they're going to end this process. And the women always refer back to Carlos, but the other men don't like it. We saw Thaddius get upset at the beginning. So he accuses her of getting spicy when she says dag, because she claimed it didn't bother her. So he got his date with Edelweiss, which is going to be later that night. So Tyson exits, see you later. And she's like, bye. And Sara's kind of mad. So Carlos is teaching Janae chess. And Brianna is the one with the tall lady with the beautiful red hair. Good morning, Sharon Gobble. Sharon Gobble, welcome in. She watches the show as well. I'll do the running comments. Okay, so Brianna and Titus are sitting there. They're kind of on a lounge chair. So Brianna's in hot pink. She's calling Thaddius a chocolate Thanos. I'm sorry, I use those terms interchangeably. I know Titus is his WWE character, but Thaddius is his name. It's a mouthful. So sometimes I interchange it with Titus if you're not used to it. They're one and the same. He said he likes it. What'd you call me again? Say that again. She said chocolate Thanos. I think Brianna's so pretty. So Holly Robinson, Pete, and her husband Rodney, they come in. They let the queens know that last week it was the king's turn to bring their family and friends. This week you're going to be grilled after you cook on the grill. So they're laughing about that. Tyson decided he's going to be the bartender. I'm the best bartender. Carlos says, well, I'm going to go in. I'll cook the burgers. And I had to laugh at that. He said, you got to season that ish because it looked like it was going to be kind of light skinned. So Ariel was dying laughing. So the kings joke, they waiting on the aunties. They want to see some aunties. The aunties are going to be fine, y'all. All the ladies are pretty. So the aunties are going to be fine. So Tyson jokes that he has questions about things. If you don't want to know, you better tell us now. So there's kind of this premonition that keeps going on that some big news is going to come out. So Tyson says that when his friend Trevor came, remember he brought his friend up, he said 15 or 20 years. He said both, so I don't know. Maybe they knew each other and then they got close later. I don't know, but at least 15 years. He said Trevor helped him clarify his connections because you can't fake with people that know you. And he was able to call out Felicia as possibly a sexual connection, but they talk as well. But they haven't talked about deep things yet because I think Felicia, she seems like she's unsure about whether or not Tyson wants to have children. He's expressed that he does want to have children. I think it's kind of a ruse, him being 54. He's a Gen X legend. We're the same age, but he thinks that women my age, basically 40 and up, are kind of too old for him. So he's left Idlewives kind of sitting on the vine, sent 44-year-old Kat home. Y'all know 50-year-old Catherine is still there. I think they keep her there to host events and that sort of thing. His perfect match, Allison. They connected perfectly in conversation, but I don't think he had the sexual attraction to her that he has. So we're going to have this cookout with them. And Sarah brought a 12-year girlfriend named Casey. She says Casey knows everything about her, all the ins and outs of all her relationships. This will come up later. Casey's from Chicago. This will come up later. Catherine, the 50-year-old lady, beautiful woman, she is still there. Her aunt comes. She draws attention, and Thaddius is like, oh, that's the aunt. He said, she should have been in the process. Is she married? So they were kind of teasing the aunt. The aunt was pretty. He said she should have been a competitor. Carlos is looking forward to meeting Janae's best friend. He's kind of nervous about it. He wants to know more about Janae. Tyson previews again. We get a preview of him asking who the ex, who is this ex? Who's his famous ex? Because I almost know everybody. It's a small world in the celebrity community. Who is it? She's like, you want to do this now? And he's like, yeah, I've been candid with you. Now I want to know. She didn't tell him yet. And I feel like she should have been disqualified, y'all, especially when it comes to light who the ex is. So we told you last week, Tyson, and you were just playing around. You were joking. So Thaddius is joking that Ariel gets in her feelings. Ariel has a long-term friend there as well. The friend was joking, oh, did you get to see her pop off yet? I told y'all Ariel had an interview over with Chloe Johnson, and you can see some of that personality is real. She's a trip. So she just doesn't let Thaddius walk over her. I'm seeing it more her side of it than I did when she was arguing with Tyree, who is gone. I didn't care for that, but Titus is joking that she gets in her feelings. He said he avoided a confrontation by pulling her float away in the pool, so they were laughing about that. There's a joint confessional with the friends, Ariel and her friend that she brought. And Ariel's like, it's not just about me learning him. He needs to learn me as well. And then Thaddius, I'm noticing a big ego on him. He's like, she should have been in love with me the first week. But what I noticed about Thaddius is that he has shared such a deep story about his mom being a child when she carried him and gave birth, 11 years old upon conception and 12 years old at birth. So he said he is the result. He came into this world, trigger alert, as a result of a rape of a child. So he had a very tough childhood. I think because he does share that, he expects, really, what are you going to trump him with? Anything that you share with him, unless it's something which Terry did have that same situation. But I think she was African or something, y'all, because it sounded like she said multiple siblings. So heaven forbid, I don't know if they were in a war zone or what, but she had multiple siblings, the result of rape. So that was kind of terrible. I don't see why she had a problem telling Tyson who her ex was. With Sharon, the way he reacted, I could kind of see why she had the problem. But Sara, as you know, I think she's a sneak. I think she is fake prim and proper. Like when she showed up to meet the friend in a hoochie mama dress, and then she didn't know that. Oh, I'm kind of embarrassed. I would have wore something else. It's like, if you want to wear your skin tight, wear that. It shouldn't matter who else is there. But she tries to present a certain way. I think she's phony, and she's going to get called out by the end of this episode. So next we have, poor Edelweiss. Edelweiss is not connected with anybody. All the kings like her, but she's kind of in the friend zone, like Terry was, like Denitra was, Stephanie was. All of them like them. They're all beautiful, but they're not really connecting with anybody. So Edelweiss has brought a friend. He's trying to talk to the kings. He's not getting any time with anybody. We see him speak to Thaddius for literally 3 minutes. He's like, he told Thaddius, like, these legs are famous around Miami. You know, Edelweiss is telling us that she's a model. She's one of the older ladies that's in her 40s. So model or not, you and Tyson might have the same profession, but I haven't seen him checking for anybody over 40. So sorry about that, Edelweiss. That's just what it is. Ariel saying she needs compassion. When she's having her moments where she might be popping off, she needs compassion. And we saw how Thaddius treated her. Anytime a woman speaks her mind or he feels like get into it with him, he ends up sending them home. He did it to Dr. Shawana. He brought, now he actually will bring you to an elimination too. He brought Ariel to an elimination, and she's his closest connection. He brought Dr. Kalia to a connection, to the elimination, and she's supposed to be one of his closest connections. So that's why they started out the beginning of the episode with Dr. Kalia getting into it with him. So Felicia's friend is telling Tyson that, well, Felicia's not that affectionate, and Tyson's saying, we got the same Felicia? You know, I always joke that, yeah, she's either straddling him or they're hugged up or something. I said it was Thaddius by mistake. Excuse me if I get the wrong names, but it was Tyson. He had her lifted clear up over his head the other week. She's so tiny, and I just love holding her and hugging her, and her skin's so soft and all this stuff. So Felicia is very affectionate, but she gets in a confessional and tells us she's used to dating actors and I think she said rappers and athletes and people that you might be all over them, but they're not going to be all over you. So when she meets somebody who is as affectionate as Tyson, she's kind of in her element. She's loving it. So he says, wait till she comes out. He was talking to the friend at first without her. Wait until she comes out. Felicia came prancing out. And he said, well, take your seat where you belong. She plopped right down on his lap. So that's what it is. I think they're a cute couple, but I don't think there's anything too serious going on here. And the friend says, well, you must be pulling that out of her because she's not been an affectionate person, but she is with you. And he's like, he agreed. Yeah, she is with me. Janae's friend is telling us Janae hasn't been obsessed with anyone. This is the first time. So I don't know. I wouldn't like the friend telling Carlos I'm obsessed with him. So did they have their phones? I don't know how the friend knew that unless Janae met with Carlos before this. Carlos is telling us he feels the same way. I can tell. But what Carlos is doing also, the kings are there for all the ladies, but he has kind of put Janae where she's not shown any interest in any of the other kings, and neither Tyson nor Thaddius showed interest in her because that's Carlos's play wife. Welcome in, Cece. Cece's one of my moderators. She came in speaking to everybody. Thank you for joining King's Court Review. So the friends were asking, what else is going on within the house? They're kind of talking all together. There's a joint confessional again with Janae and her friend. The friend is telling us that Janae has been cheated on. She has had past relationships where she had the biggest heart ever, but that she had been betrayed so many times, she gets hurt all the time. The friend says, I'm skeptical. I want to agree with the friend. I'm skeptical about Carlos also. The friend ends up asking, does he know you're a little crazy? And Janae's like, no, he doesn't know I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puff. Carlos kind of looked and then she's joking. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm just joking. I don't know. We've seen a reaction from Janae, especially one after the perfect matches, namely Jennifer came in. She might be a little bit, I don't know. We'll see how she reacts if there's any more rejection. So Idolized friend is a young man. He trying to talk to the Kings. As I said, he doesn't really get time with anyone. Tyson's at the drink table with Brianna. We get confessional Edelweiss. She's saying, my friend spoke to Thaddius for 3 minutes, and this is not fair. I deserve the same time, and I know I'm not really connected with the king, but had a wonderful day, and he got really close. So Tyson did have that date with Idolweiss, y'all. He's keeping these late night hours, and people are getting confused in their head. So when did that happen, Tyson? When Felicia went to bed? So she's all upset. She pulls Catherine aside, and she's really arguing about the time that she's not spending enough time. We've seen this before, and it's always one of Tyson's women that does this. We remember Kat had a meltdown, and then he ended up having her send herself home and not being their queen. So Dr. Kehlani is telling her friend that even though she had a dust up with Thaddius last night, and she's kind of on ice, he is still hers. And the friend says, she said that, you know, she can understand that she sees the connection between them. And Dr. K is saying she's focusing on God. Again, she brought this up that God was going to send her a husband. She's focusing on God. Tyson is meeting with the friend Casey, who is Sarah's friend. And he said, so you live in LA too? She said, no, I live in Chicago. So Sarah said, you know that I live in LA. My friend now lives in Chicago. So y'all, here's the connection. He said, well, who's the famous friend? Who's the famous celebrity that you dated? We don't really want to talk about him. We don't need to talk about him. So he was joking with the friend. You just like being cold, huh? That's why you live in Chicago? She said, no, that's where she's from. He said, well, I want to see what her type is. Is he tall, dark, and handsome? I'd say so. R. Kelly in the Prime, he wasn't bad on the eyes. He specifically asked her about celebrities. Again, Sarah and her friend do that friend thing where they're not saying anything. He said, no, don't give the sneaky eyes. Don't do that. So Tyson might play silly, but he's observant because I saw that too. I said, look at y'all doing that. Like, don't say anything yet. Yeah, Carlos, Sharon and I have said this, that Carlos is playing games. He just doesn't want Janae to be available to the other guys. Exactly. He's locked her down as kind of a play wife, but he's still dating everyone else and considering Jennifer because he's intrigued that Jennifer is this perfect match assigned by the lady that has 86% success rate. So we get confessional Tyson, who's laughing but serious. He said, I've been candid. I've been transparent, everything about me. But Sarah is being a little bit shady when it comes to this celebrity ex. I need to find out what's going on. And what is she hiding? So this is the first sign that Tyson not just smiling and joking with you. He's asking you, Sarah, and you having an opportunity to come clean. So Dr. Kehlani, friend and Thaddius are teasing each other. They're joking. He says that I just want to be candid about what happened last night. I gave her a platform to speak. She spoke her piece. And then when it was my turn, she jumped in. I didn't get the same liberty to do that. He said, and that really bothered me. Dr. Kehlani apologized. He's telling the friend, I can't lead that. That is not my piece. Y'all know I start hearing bells when I hear that red pill language. They want to lead. This is not their piece. Thaddius likes to play with people, y'all. You remember he brought the friends and family, and one of the people ended up being a lady that he was engaged to. And he didn't tell Dr. Kehlani. The lady told Dr. Kehlani. So now I got my good eye on Thaddius. When I thought he was the best king out of the bunch, out of really a bunch that's not really, other than being good looking, there's not really much going on for him. And then Carlos, I don't even give him that. If you like that type, let me not say that about Carlos. Some people may find Carlos handsome. I know Jennifer doesn't want him, in my opinion. She could refer to him as a green salad and Tyson as a juicy burger. So that's sexy. So Dr. Kehlani, Thaddius, and a friend are all talking. And when they get up, he kind of taps her on her shoulder. And he's like, you know, they used to always hug. She said, oh, thank you for my church tap. So they're laughing about that. But she is still kind of on ice, as she realized earlier. Brianna's brother, she has a really nice brother. He sits down with Thaddius. He approached the brother as if he was so sincere. The brother even said, you seem like a really sincere guy. Brianna gives so much to everybody else. I want her to have someone who is for her. We lost our father about a year ago, and it's been really difficult for everyone. He says, my concern is that if this is not real, she'll be hurt. But if this is real and you're for her, I would like it to work out. Thaddius asked the brother, what's her biggest Achilles heel? And the brother says, her ability, whether or not she can put all her trust in someone. Thaddius says, he knows that. He feels like she has a wild side. So I don't know what Thaddius is relating that to. I don't like that. Putting all your trust in someone, it doesn't just have to be sexual. Thaddius might be a big old freak, y'all. And he alluded to it. And then later on, he started, the way he was moving with Brianna, I think that some of that's going to come out as well. Yeah, Sharon, unfortunately, I'm starting to see the same thing. I'm realizing more and more that Thaddius is a player also. Yes, Sharon, I happen to agree. So Jennifer asked Carlos, how would it be starting over with the family at your age? And he was like, well, how old do you think I am? And I don't think she answered him. He's like, I'm 42. You're still older than Jennifer, Carlos, and you have a 5-year-old baby. He's saying with the right person, he'd like to do that. Welcome, Elisa Triplett. Thank you so much for joining the live King's Court review. Thank you. Welcome. So the friend confessional, they had the joint confessional. She said, well, do you think he'd be ready to start over? He got a baby in kindergarten. He's got a high school child. He got a baby in kindergarten. I feel like he had 3 or 4 kids. I can't remember. But he's a Rolling Stone. How many episodes are scheduled to air? What's the prize? The men? CC, this is toward the end. This is number 7. I don't know how many more. I feel like it's almost over because they're dwindling down as far as the women. Now, as early as last week, I was saying they need to do a lot more cuts because they try to send 2 or 3 home every week. But now they're getting down to the finalists. Generally, the prize would be the men, but I don't think so. And judging from Queen's Court, which I didn't watch, Tamar got Colonel Sanders out of there. So I don't know if there are any real prizes here. So that I appreciate that question. I don't know. So Edelweiss is still venting to Catherine. How could he get close to me last night and the Kings won't even meet my friend? So she starts to kind of melt down to the point where Catherine's like, no, don't be upset. We'll get a chance. You'll get a chance to meet all of them. Now, Catherine and her aunt, a lot of people didn't know Catherine was still on the show. She's not running around screaming and crying. See, so you know JR looks like Colonel Sanders. That little swoop thing he does, he thinks that's swaggy and he just looks like a fool. And Tamar's such a pick-me, she didn't tell him. So Catherine is saying, don't leave Edelweiss. It was like, I'm going to pack my stuff. I'm going to go. She's working herself into a frenzy. Now, meanwhile, the family is still there. So she could have went home with her friend, but Catherine convinced her not to. She goes to get, I don't know if it was the king that Edelweiss has the best connection with, which will be Tyson, or the one that can't really tell the women no, which would also be Tyson. So she brings Tyson over there. What's going on? He's immediately concerned. She's up in arms. I want to go home. I'm not getting the time. You didn't meet my people. He's like, oh, I'll spend time. Baby, don't do that. Remember, I think Raquel was the one leaving and they went and got Tyson. Also, they did the same thing with Liliana. He couldn't convince, no, not Liliana. Somebody else who walked out early, Lexi. And Lexi wasn't even his pick. He couldn't convince them to stay, but he's telling Edelweiss, baby, don't do that. Because, Tyson doesn't like to send the ladies home himself. He convinced them where the other kings will end up sending them. So Edelweiss, don't worry about it. You 40 plus, you going anyway. She said, I don't want to be left over. I'm sorry, but she's already a leftover. She's a beautiful woman. And Catherine is too, but I'm sorry. These men, these kings are not choosing any of these women. They're not. Carlos has already selected Janae. I think that I could see Thaddius, if he has to pick somebody, picking Ariel because of the way Dr. Kehlani moved with him. So we'll see what's going to happen. He's saying, baby, please don't leave. She's crying, y'all. She's literally crying tears. Tyson's wiping her tears off her face. So now she's getting the attention that she wants. Oh, my notes, y'all. Sometimes I have to freestyle it because if I think the note is too mean, I won't say it, but I'll read it. But this was me after having been up all night. Okay, y'all know I'm third shift. I said, Edelweiss, this pretty fine man don't want you. He don't like women to leave him, even the old ones. He want Carlos or Titus to send them home. So that's still true, but I would say it in a gentler way, okay? Sharon's not as gentle this morning either. She said she is just a leftover. Yes, they've already picked. I think Tyson's probably going to pick Felicia. I think that Janae and Carlos, and I think that Thaddius and Ariel. Hey, Trish 612, my sister, one of my moderators. I know she is working, but she came in. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Titus and Brianna are talking. He questions, where does your fear come from? He's doing that serious thing where he's in your face. Where does your fear come from? Of course, she's telling him being close to people that have betrayed her before. And then I'm thinking, too, the loss of her father. But she's talking about this past relationship. Y'all, the man had a baby on her. So she finds it hard to trust someone. She says she lost trust after this man had the side baby on her. He asked her top 3 things. Thaddius wants to know Brianna's top 3 things. So he gets very deep with the women while not revealing much more than we know he is the child of how he came into the world. And I haven't heard too much more. Again, we didn't know that the friend that he brought was somebody that was a fiance until she told Dr. Kehlani. So I'm not trusting him. I'm seeing what Sharon's seeing, that he might be as much of a player as Tyson. He's just more mature about it. And he keeps saying, I want a wife. I want to leave here with a wife. I'm intentional about me leaving here with a wife. But I think he'll probably leave with a wife kind of like what Carlos is going to leave here with. So somebody will have the main position. This is just my opinion, but there'll be other people that are kind of coming off the bench, to use a sports analogy. So she said communication, making time, and physical intimacy. He said, is that holding hands? She started laughing. He said, you can say what you mean by physical intimacy in all ways. So, of course, they start saying a little bit of sex talk. She's like, hugging, making out. He's like, that's middle school. Sex is a very important part of my life. And I like to get wild. And now Brianna, she's looking at him like, what? Because the brother just left. You talking like this, Thaddius? So Thaddius is kind of a freak, in my opinion. So he's saying, whatever our heart desires, that's what's going to happen. So the two of them are talking that talk, y'all, right in the open. So Brianna gets in a confessional and she starts laughing. She said, can I not be on Bravo showing my whole business and having somebody try to match my freak? So I thought that was funny. But Brianna, she didn't go too far, but I think Thaddius was trying to bring something out of her that I didn't appreciate, especially what we see later. So Tyson calls Sara. Tyson keeps some crazy hours, y'all. He's up in the morning with Carlos and them when they're cooking, and this is 1:45 a.m. He calls Sara. Now, remember, she was his 1 a.m. and went to bed because he was with Felicia. He calls her, and she's up, even though she don't believe in a list. So he calls Sara. He's in a confessional saying, this is a celebrity that obviously she don't want me to know, and I'm going to find out or I'm going to feel like she's hiding something. So he says, who is the celebrity that you dated? He's not playing with her. Are we doing this now? He said, yeah, otherwise I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to run because you hiding something. She said, I don't want you to feel I'm being dishonest. He said, I feel you're being dishonest because you haven't told me who it is. She says, it's R. Kelly. He's like, what? We get confessional, Tyson saying, are you kidding me? That's the name of the episode. R, like Ara, are you kidding me? So she should have told this man this. He's telling us he feels like she was dishonest, that she held this close until she got kind of in a relationship with him. He's claiming his heart is with her. I don't believe that. I think he wants all these women to fall in love with him so he can have his pick. I don't think for a minute Tyson is in love with Sara. I don't think she loves him. I think she's transactional. So she's 37. She's kind of aging out of that celebrity type process, the ones that look for younger women, in my opinion, and she's trying to latch on quickly. So she claimed this was decades ago. It's so old. It has nothing. I have nothing to do with all of that. Now, she said a decade ago, y'all. She's 37. She said, I was grown. I was living in LA. I'm going to read something out of those papers, okay? So 2015, R. Kelly was caught up in a case with a Jane Doe. This was not the 14-year-old girl of the infamous video, because that little girl received no justice. That tape was even sold and passed around barbershops and stuff. This case, Jane Doe received justice. I don't remember the age of this person, but one of the charges was trafficking, y'all. He flew the lady from another state to, of course, have relations. And it found out, and I didn't know this because I closed my ear to a lot of these cases. I don't even know a lot about what the Sean Combs trial was. I don't watch a lot of it. But in the court papers, he gave this lady, they said, an incurable disease. So I don't know. Is it herpes? I don't know what it was, but that's what they're saying. Okay. She didn't know. So she's claiming I was grown. I didn't know anything about that side of him. Y'all, 10 years ago in 2015, when he was going through that trial, she dated him for 3 years. Okay. So that's why I'm looking at Sara with a side eye, and why I agree with Tyson looking at her with a side eye. In 2015, he was still doing the tapes. Okay. I think that's true, CC. And I will give a disclosure. I tell a story time. My sister is a huge R. Kelly fan. I was a big fan of a lot of his music. My favorite song, y'all, was one of the songs that were probably the most graphic. I used to love 12 Play. I love melodies and all that, but knowing what a lot of what was behind it, it's just hard to even listen to any of it now, but you can't deny the melodies in any of that. So Sarah's lying. She's in a confessional crying to the producer. How could something that happened 10 years ago have an impact on me now? And how could I be tricked by that when I have boundaries? Blah, blah, blah. The production, he's fooled by the tears, had the nerve talking about, do you think Tyson is dragging your past because it's from 10 years ago? Tyson gets in a confessional and says, if it were a regular ass person, it would be fine, but I can't have these associations. I agree with Tyson, because the next thing you know, they're saying, yeah, he's in it too. He knew that lady and she knew him. I don't blame it, Tyson. Don't let the tears do anything. So confessional Tyson claims that he don't really care about celebrities, but this one matters because of the affiliation. And then he said, and you can't convince me that you don't effing know something. I couldn't believe he said that, but he did, and they left it in, y'all. I don't care. Yeah, CC giving the bug eyes. That's what I do. I mean, very, very talented. But when you hear all that stuff, really, really back when the Source put that the marriage license for Aaliyah, and she was 15 years old. That tells you a lot right then. So Sara, you damaged goods. She's trying to restore her reputation. She's saying, I hope that this doesn't impact me. This was 10 years ago. She keeps saying 10 years ago when we know that 2015, this man was in the thick of the trial and the things that he was going on. I didn't get to do the story time. My sister and I love concerts. We go to Soul Beach. New Edition, we saw them in Soul Beach, in Aruba. They've moved it to St. Martin. I have a friend that's going, but I'm not able to go this year. They moved it to St. Martin, but they had another one in Aruba. R. Kelly was the headliner. And we had not seats, but it was standing room only. But if you have VIP, you stand close. So for R. Kelly, of course, we're close. You could see the stage. And that was when he was doing the harem thing by then. And I said, I thought it was kind of funny. I said, he's dating twins. And my sister was like, I don't think they're even related. It was those two of the ladies, y'all, that were involved in a lot of that paperwork. And the family was even saying publicly, like, we can't get in touch with our daughter. We haven't been around our daughter, this and that. So there was a lot going on. And I guess Sara was a girlfriend during that time. So I'm not buying her tears, y'all. So and where's Felicia? I want Felicia to weigh in on this. After the way she jumped on Sara verbally, I wanted her to say something, but they didn't talk to Felicia. So I have in my notes, talk to Felicia, but they didn't. Tyson said he don't want to waste any more time with her. He's good on her. And I feel like forget about elimination dinner, give her the elimination breakfast. Just bring her down, pack her stuff with Idlewild, take it to the house. So they come down to the elimination dinner. They bring Brianna, who Thaddius has been getting so close with and speaking more and more, I won't say graphic, but I will say sexually too. As if they're getting so close and he wants to get this trust from her. He's met her brother, but he brings her to elimination dinner. Dr. Kehlani was the one that went off on him at the beginning of the episode. He didn't bring her to the elimination dinner. So we got Brianna, Idlewild, who's already melted down and said she wanted to go home. Tyson convinced her to stay so she could be here for the scene and they can send her home. And then Carlos brings, who did Carlos bring? It'll come to me who Carlos bring. There's only 3 people. No, Carlos bring. Tyson brought Sara. I I guess nobody's really bringing anybody. Idolwise is there, but she didn't have a connection with Carlos, but I'll say Carlos brought her. So Tyson and the Kings walk in. Tyson's wearing a red suit. Sara, for some reason, is wearing a red cat suit with kind of like a stocking-looking lingerie bottom. Sara, I don't know what you think you're doing. She gets in a confessional and says, I think that Tyson's and I connection is strong enough that I don't count myself out yet. You see how some of these people could be damaged goods for real and still think they got a shot? Why? I'm going to let her have that. She's saying that she still thinks she got a shot. So, and the man told you he don't want nothing else to do with her. He don't want the affiliation. So Tyson, Carlos, and Thaddius is standing around. And he said, do you want to know who the celebrity ex was? They're like, yeah, because they nosy too. The Kings get together and gossip too. Tyson comes showing his phone and they're like, they're taken aback. And they said, well, what are you going to do? He said, she's at the elimination dinner. She's strutting around in that cat suit. When she came in, Tyson didn't even talk to her. Everybody else greeted her. Because the elimination dinner is the time where you're supposed to kind of shoot your last shot at the king. But he's not talking to her. So she's sitting by herself. Y'all, here's Carlos. This is another reason why the nice guy act is fake. I see a woman sitting alone, kind of isolated, and I feel like I need to console her. Carlos, mind your business. This lady's going home for a reason. I don't like the fact that he's talking about he feel like he need to console her. Let me put the banner is up. Okay. I should have checked that first, y'all. So the experts are talking to Carlos. They all compliment each other. Carlos compliments Edelweiss. She's wearing a beautiful white dress. I said Sara was in red, and who else was there? Brianna. I forgot what Brianna had on, but she's pretty. She's the tall lady. Sharon Gobble, you're saying what I'm thinking. She was delusional to think Tyson would warn her after finding out about her ex. Yeah, that's the first question anybody would ask him. You got R. Kelly's leftovers. That's crazy. Some of these women they're delusional like that. Certain ones. So I think Titus was scared to bring Dr. Kehlani after the way she acted last week. So Brianna and Titus are sitting together. I can't get past my dislike of Carlos from his BA days. Oh, you don't like him from basketball? Yeah, I remember Carlos Boozer, but I think he was he played Toronto or something. He had a big name, but he didn't really stick out to me. I remember he was so vain of the NBA. Yeah, he had that, somebody had sprayed his head in an NBA game, CC. He running up and down the court and he had that black stuff just rolling down his face. It was like, Carlos, just go ball like Jordan and them. Because how are you that vain? And he's not even, well, I won't say he's not that good looking, but he's not my taste. So the experts and Carlos are talking and everybody's mingling. Thaddius is sitting on the couch with Brianna saying, how do you feel about me bringing you to the elimination dinner? So I'm starting to think he uses this kind of as a manipulation tactic, or he wants them to beg or whatever. She said, I'm a little, it's a little strange. I forgot the word she used, but she says that she's not really upset about it. No, she said she's intrigued. I'm intrigued. She doesn't really know why she's there. And I don't either. I thought they were getting a little closer, and he just met her brother. Tyson is unnaturally quiet. He's not talking to Sara or anybody. And Edelweiss is talking to Carlos. He had complimented her dress, and she said, wow, there's tension over there. Tyson is like here. Sara's sitting there by herself on another part of the room. And, this conversation happened first because Tyson then said he sees a woman, he wants to console her. He actually left the conversation with Edelweiss and went over to talk to Sara. And he says, I think you're funny. I've gotten to know you. I know you're going through tough times. Do you think there's any remedy in this? She's saying she just couldn't believe that he would have this reaction. She had to know that he was going to have this reaction. As we mentioned earlier, Sharon, why didn't she just tell him if she didn't think it was that big a deal? So he calls himself consoling her because Tyson's sending her home. So I have Sara, you lied. You had to know of all people this would bother her. So Holly's like, Tyson, what's going on? You can't even speak to her? Holly pulls Tyson aside because, as I said, he's unusually quiet. She had this man speechless. Usually he's talking to everybody. She said, you can't even speak to Sara? What's going on? He said, well, I found out the celebrity ex. And Holly's being nosy. Ooh, who was it? He turns his phone around. She said, of all people. Holly Robinson, Pete, what do you know? She said, of all people. I thought that was funny. So she said, we're going to address an elephant that's in the room. Oh, let me tell you one more thing about Brianna and Thaddius's conversation. So she said that she was intrigued, but she's not surprised or hurt or anything about being there. He says, well, what do you think it would take for you to have complete trust? I can't remember what she said. She said, well, for you, she said, if I wanted to tie you up, would you allow me? He started doing his eyebrows like, So Thaddius, come on, Thaddius. So they sit down to the table, and Holly says she knows that there was a shock to Tyson, but his silence is also hurtful. And does she think that he can understand it to an extent where he probably could forgive? Tyson goes first and said he just doesn't want to address it. So Holly Robinson Pete says, well, we'll address this elephant that's in the room. Carlos, would you mind? Welcome in, Mama 59 Works, one of my moderators. I appreciate it. She thinks Tyson is a stand-up guy and deserves respect. I think in this forum, because he's been kind of honest to me of what he was doing. So Holly asked Carlos if he'll address Sara. So Carlos says he will address Sara. Holly lets Tyson goes first. Tyson goes first. He's going to dismiss Edelweiss. So he's saying, Adele, he calls her Adele, you're sweet, everybody loves you, but you're not a queen to us because you're a runner. That wasn't fair. Edelweiss said that episodes ago, and she said that she could work through that. But I told y'all, Edelweiss is over 40 and she's going home. So Rodney asked, how do you feel about that? She says she feels like all of the kings are great and they'll find love. She hopes they find a queen, and she hopes that she finds her king, even if it's not them. So Carlos gets to address Sara. He says he was glad to know Sara. Unfortunately, you've had static with Tyson, and so for that reason, you're not our queen. Rodney asked Sara, is there anything you want to say? Sara had the nerve to fix her mouth, Miss Perfect, prim, Persian princess. She says, well, I want to thank you, Carlos, for being a king and saying kind words to me and showing true king behavior. She's looking at Tyson, who's not even looking at her. Tyson just smirks. Sara, how are you talking about true king behavior? I'm not even going to talk about what this lady was doing in 2015. You can't convince me. I'm with Tyson on that. 2015, R. Kelly for 3 years. And the best friend is from Chicago, right? Sara moved from Chicago to LA. The lady that's in the court document, let me not even go there. One of the cases was flown to LA for occurrences that he's currently away for now. Not so fun fact, he's in my current state. He's in Butner, North Carolina, y'all. And it's a bad detention center as well. They just had an incident where, you know how certain ones, the meds that they give you, of course, it's heavily regulated. Supposedly there was some type OD, and his attorneys are very concerned for him. But, you know, when you're in there, you're in danger. But I think that there is money being paid possibly to keep him safe. I don't know, because there was another story that was kind of buried, but it was in the news, so we heard about it. They took $88,000 out of this man's commissary. He's supposed to, after this case, the legal fees were supposed to have bankrupted him. And then some of the victims, of course, they got together, and there's kind of a blackout where you don't really hear his music played. But I feel kind of two ways about that. If his music had continued to be sold and he'd been able to make a living, the victims could have gotten more money. In my opinion, I think they were owed more money, especially the 14-year-old that I feel like was just swept under the rug. It was kind of terrible. So Thaddius ends up sending Brianna home. He says, well, you showed yourself and I like what I've seen. Now, remember this conversation they just had. She's asking him if she wanted to tie him up, would he let her? He talking about, yeah. This is why I don't really care for Thaddius anymore, y'all. I think he's playing. Like Sharon said, I think if he could do what Tyson would do openly, I think he would. Carlos would too, in my opinion. So I have a note, girl, grab your rags and beat it. I didn't like Sara being able to address Tyson. This man said he's not talking to you. Stop talking. So Thaddius sends Brianna home because she didn't show herself. soon enough. She says that's fine. They're king. She's not their queen, whatever. So next week, we have a preview of Janae and Jennifer are going to bump heads, finally, the play wife and the perfect match. And then we also have Dr. Kehlani and Catherine are going to bump heads. I didn't know Catherine was in the running for Thaddius. Did anybody else know that? I didn't know that. And then we have Thaddius is going to get into it with Catherine when she's giving him a piece of her mind, kind of like Dr. Kehlani was. And he said, I'm going to walk off because this conversation is going nowhere. So we're getting that a lot from Thaddius. He doesn't like to be confronted. This was a good episode, y'all. I'm going to have to give this episode a 10 out of 10 because we had the family members that come in. That's rare. I think this is my first 10. The family members that come in, the friends. We had the Sarah's friend sitting right there. This woman still thinks she's going to keep this secret. The secret comes out. It is explosive. He had the reaction that most men would have. And Sarah got her bags packed, took her rags home, and we don't have to see her anymore. So next week, we're going to get to still see the lovely Felicia. Catherine's still there. Janae's not going anywhere. Jennifer's still there. Who else? Dr. Kehlani. And I think we're going to see still more of another side of Dr. Kehlani, who is a chameleon, y'all. She fits into all situations. But thank you so much for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra. I hope I'm not missing any comments, but I feel like they froze. But again, this was a 10 out of 10. If you haven't had a chance to watch this episode of King's Court, please go in and watch it. It's King's Court episode 7. Aura, you kidding me? So this was good, y'all. Sarah got her comeuppance. The only thing missing was that I wanted to see Felicia in a confessional or either addressing Sarah about it. Because, she feel like Tyson is her man. And I think he is. So everybody, thank you for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra. Please enjoy the rest of your Monday and have a great start to your week. Thank you. I'll see you in the YouTube streets. Bye.